Hello, I'm so happy to be here doing another Mondays with Mira, and I've got a just beautiful book to share with you. It's George Ella Lyon's Mother to Tigers, and it's illustrated by Peter Catalanotto. It's a mouthful, and the illustrations are just exquisite, as you'll see. And let's just have a quick look at the jacket flap, which I don't always do, and I think it's important. The jacket flap is often written by either the editor or someone in marketing. It's rarely done by the author themselves, and it serves a function to summarize what the book is about while also engaging the reader. And talk about engaging, listen to this. You're a Bengal tiger cub, one of three, Dhaka, Rajpur, Raniganji, abandoned by your mother. You are so cold and thin that someone with kind hands puts you on a heating pad and sits by you for hours, moistening your mouth with milk. When you give a weak cry and look up, there is a human face, almost crying too. Your new mother is Helen Delaney Martini, who has already raised a lion cub in her New York apartment. Tigers in the bathtub will be no problem for her and her husband Fred. This remarkable book, strikingly striped as tigers are, sympathetically spoken as any child could wish, tells the story of Helen Martini, founder of the Bronx Zoo's animal nursery in 1944 and its first woman zookeeper. So that's really nice copy. The title is also really fabulous because what the author's done, it doesn't say zookeeper or it doesn't say, woman who raises tigers. It says mother to tigers, which what that does is it engages us on an emotional level. It's a mom who raises tigers. Or she's mother to the tigers, which is more appropriate because she didn't actually have kids. And what she had instead was a whole bunch of animals. And bit by bit, it led to her destiny as being someone who cares for tigers and started the first zoo nursery. It's an incredible story and it's exquisitely told. So here we are, we've got our end sheets, they work nicely with the design for our half title, Mother to Tigers, and we can see that the illustrator, who, I'm just going to call him Peter, because his last name is just too challenging right now, he's tearing paper and using the white paper underneath to create these stripes that act almost as little vignettes. So here, he's really got two illustrations on here and some decorative color. And let me read this out. Suppose you were a lion cub, abandoned. Suppose you lay hungry and cold in the straw at the back of the den, and a man came in the cage and lifted you into a case and put you in a car to go home with him. Suppose a woman bathed you. Suppose she warmed milk on the stove and poured it in a bottle and put you in on a pillow in her lap to drink till you were full and sleepy, then put you in a box that would be your bed and a kitchen that would be your home, till you got big enough to roam the apartment, stalking the sofa, pouncing on the chairs, till you outgrew a human house and went home to the Bronx Zoo. Your name would be MacArthur. And the woman who saved you, Helen Frances Teresa Delaney Martini. So great poetic language. And it's language that's saying, once again, we're using second person, similar to Roxy Monroe's Maze Ways, where she directs the reader as you directly as well. So this is our full title, and normally our story would start on the next page, But what they've actually done in the design of this book, and I imagine it was the designer's decision rather than the author's or the illustrator's, though who knows, we're using this front matter, and that's what would normally be half title, full title, story begins. And let's count these pages off. So I love to teach, it's pretty obvious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Normally your story starts on pages 4 and 5. But instead, it just serves as all front matter, leading us into our full title right here. And what stunning illustrations, hey? So here he's using pastel, and here it's watercolor. Here it's very textured paper. So it's quite fabulous. Oh, and monochromatic too. So look how he's mixing up the monochromatic with the color. Helen never planned to raise cubs. She and her husband Fred wanted children, but their first baby died, and doctors said she couldn't have more. To ease their hurt hearts, they collected pets, a parrot, a dog, a starling, and 12 canaries. Before long, their little apartment was full of song and feathers. On weekends, when Fred was free from his job as a jeweler, they strolled through the Bronx Zoo just down the street from their house. Now, talk about rhythmic language. Fred loved those times watching polar bears dive and elephants amble, studying the grace of giraffes. Finally, Helen said, "Why don't you follow your heart and work at the zoo?" So he did. So Peter is mixing up the watercolor and the monochromatic. This might be Conte crayon, might be charcoal with white pastel. But even in his color images, look at how he uses a limited palette and how strong and effective that is. I mean, this is just masterful. They're so beautiful. And it's such a great mix. It's such a great pairing of author and illustrator. And in fact, I read on the back matter, on the jacket flap, that they've actually done 6 books together. And I just think they're a brilliant pairing. And let me just talk a little about that text right there and what made it so exquisite. On weekends when Fred was free. So we've got the F's and the R's. So Fred and free, and we and free. And you can see how she's just playing with language to make it as powerful and beautiful as she can. From his job as a jeweler, they strolled through the Bronx Zoo. Strolled, Bronx, just down the street from their house. So we've got some powerful alliteration happening there. Watching the polar bears dive and elephants amble, studying the grace of giraffes. Why don't you follow your heart and work at the zoo? So, you know, the emotional content in this is so powerful and so exquisite and so beautifully rendered, both in terms of the art. Okay, look how relational these images are. These two are about to hold hands. It's a mother and a baby giraffe, and then we have a pair of giraffes and a pair of elephants. Thanks, Lita. Lita's filming here. And those of you that have taken Children's Book Academy courses have got to meet Lita, and no, she's just beautiful. But all through, we've got this very emotional, poetic language. And it's also very active, you know. Polar bears dive, elephants amble, the grace of giraffes. So it's not, you know, the language is active and the images are active too. You know, we don't see the hands just hanging there. We see them interacting here. There's movement. These guys are walking. And, you know, and you rarely see like elephant butt drawings, but they're just great. So I don't want to, you know, these days when I do these, I used to read much more of the story, but what I'd rather do is inspire you to go and get these stories and read them yourself and learn these critical analytical skills that we teach at the Academy and that I'm trying to teach you through these videos here. Oh God, I've got to read this next bit because it's just so wonderful. Each night he brought home questions about animals he cared for, and together he and Helen would read and learn. When he brought MacArthur home to the apartment on Old Kingsbridge Road, the cub was a pitiful sight. Just do for him what you would do for a human baby, Fred told Helen, and she did. And so it doesn't, you know, it's not saying everything that she did. We can see in the pictures. She's bottle feeding that cub. Here they're learning, and Fred is impersonating some kind of chimpanzee, and Helen is having a lovely time. It's just, and then here, look at this illustration. I mean, this is really hard to pull off successfully without making it look like, you know, she's on drugs or something. But what this image shows us is just how busy she was and all the different things that she was doing, taking care of these 3 cubs. And it's just beautiful that the story and the images just totally hook you in, and you just want to keep reading and reading. You want to know these people, you want to know about the animals, and you're inspired with empathy. You know, you're inspired to be someone that is also a force for good in the world, and that cares and that helps others. And this is just, let me just show another illustration because they're just so darn good. So anyway, that's it. Much as I would love to share more with you, oh boy, do I ever. You know, and here we have children. We have so much goodness in this book. And, you know, they're kids from all different cultures, and I mean, it's great. Oh, here. So these 2 images back to back show how we as human beings are related to animals, that we are part of the natural world as much as they are, and how we need to, you know, treat the natural world and animals with respect, as well as ourselves. It kills me not being able to read more, but I want to keep these videos short. And as I mentioned, I think my goal at this point is to just really share things with you in terms of looking at the techniques of how things are done and what makes them so masterful, and inspire you to support these fabulous authors and illustrators by buying their books and learning from them. There's a ton that you can learn from. And here's a beautiful author's note that gives you a lot more information about the subject of the story, as well as the author's own experience of coming to know about this person and why they wrote this book. So it's just a very beautiful book. And on the back, once again, the monochromatic palette. There's a picture of her at the zoo. And let me just talk a little about this cover. And this would be a combination of the art director, Peter, and the designer all working together. And so what's really neat about this is we've got cool colors here, and cool colors recede, and then we've got warm colors coming forward. we see a little of her, and it's just enough to make us want to find out more. And we're really focusing on this exquisite image of a baby tiger cub drinking a baby's bottle. And that baby bottle is so familiar. So that's it for me right now. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little about this exquisite book. I learnt about it from, oh goodness, Diane Aston, who is another brilliant author, and I'll be sharing one of her books at least in the future. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll join me for more. Bye.